meet Qi Huizhen, who wears two faces and dresses like a princess. He was raised as a girl since childhood. He has two identities, one as a princess, one as crown prince. After marrying as a bride, he went and snatched his own husband as a man. Meanwhile, the prince consort Xiao Yanning just wants a simple family. But his brother-in-law has improper feelings for him and keeps pressing closer. The humid rain just stopped. A sudden burst of Xikada song official from the Ministry of Rights got up to bid farewell to the Xiao family. The rain stopped. I should head back and report. You'll have your hands full in the coming days. I won't take up any more of your time. I'll be on my way. Xiao Yanji politely had someone see him out. After the household, Princess consort Xu seemed somewhat unwilling. Must he really marry the princess? Xiao Yanji's expression was rather grave. The marriage was arranged by the late His Majesty has set the princess wedding. Let's start preparing tomorrow. She looked at her son, mature beyond his years, with his calm expression. I hear the princess is hard to get along. And given the princess, that princess look. I've never met her. My sister-in-law says she saw her twice. She said the princess. Now my Ninger has to serve his mistress. Won't life be difficult? Then Princess Lipingstein. Xiao Yanning cut off Su. Mother Thunder and you are both the Emperor's grace. Since it's the will of the late Emperor, we should gratefully accept the imperial favor. The current Emperor has no biological. Princess Liping is the daughter of His Majesty's late brother. After Emperor Yangqing said that he gave her the higher rank of princess. She's raised in the palace. Her status is indeed rather conspicuous. The late Emperor pushed her for this marriage, also to keep the Xiao Prince manor in check. Xiao Yangji also reminded, don't talk about such things anymore. If word gets out, it'll just cause trouble. She dabbed her eyes with a handkerchief. I know that. I'm just complaining behind closed doors. I won't mention it again. Afterwards, Xiao Yanji gave Xiao Yanning some instruction. Xiao Yanning stood respectfully. When Xiao Yanji finished, he took his leave from his parents. Shu watched his retreating figure. She could only sigh to her husband. Ninger is too rigid. I've never met Princess Liping. My sister-in-law says she saw her twice. She said the princess is proud and hard to get along with. With Ninger being like this, I wonder if the princess will like him. Can they get by in the future? Xiao Yanji didn't think so. Ninger is steady. He never loses his temper with anyone. How could he not get along with the princess? You worry too much. Shu was still somewhat worried. Things had come to this point, nothing more to say. She could only suppress her concern. Leaving the main courtyard, Xiao Yanning stopped in the corridor and looked out. After the rain, the sky was clear and bright. Princess Li. He'd seen her from afar a few times before. He hadn't seen her face clearly, but he didn't really care. The princess is he. Whatever her appearance or temperament, he'll treat her well. But if they could truly love each other, that would naturally be even better. In the imperial study, after hearing the report from the ministry, the emperor waved his hand, dismissing him. He told his eunuch to summon the crown prince. Just as finished speaking, someone came in to announce, Your Majesty, Princess Liping requests an audience. The emperor's brow furrowed. He said one word. Everyone else leave. Then he saw a tall young lady in a red gown, adorned with gold hair, strikingly beautiful face lightly made up. She entered and bowed gracefully. Greets Your Majesty. His voice was silent. Unlike most young ladies' sweet, the young emperor sat behind the imperial desk, looking coldly at him without telling him. Instead, he asked having. The young lady stood up, reverting to his natural. Your son greets father. Don't be angry, father. Shi Chaoling looked him up and down. This boy's looks could pass as a girl. When he was young and raised outside the palace, he learned from theater troupe people how to disguise his. He's just a bit tall. Cover up the Adam's apple. Xi Huizhen adjusted the gold hairpin on his head. Does Father Emperor think my outfit looks good? Shi Chaoling's tone was cold, reminding him. If the Xiao family finds out their daughter-in-law is actually a man, are you planning to make enemies of them for the royal family? Xi Huizhen wasn't concerned. Don't worry, Father Emperor. I won't let the Xiao family find out. I won't cause you any more trouble over this marriage. You dare say that? You didn't dare ask me. So you sent your uncle to lobby for you. He's unconventional. And he's made you unconventional too. None of you give me any peace. Xi Huizhen thought to himself, you indulge this too, Your Majesty. However unconventional, it's nothing compared to His Majesty 3 years ago, when he defied everyone and made the Western Wrong Prince his male consort. Xi Huizhen cleared his throat. What's wrong with me keeping an eye on them for you? After a moment, Shi Chaoling asked, is this about personal motives? Xi Huizhen said nothing. Shi Chaoling took his silence as agreed. He waved his hand. Mind your boundaries. Xi Huizhen took his leave. As he left the study, he ran into Xi Chaoyuan, who just returned. Since he couldn't avoid him, he greeted him properly. Xi Chaoyuan looked him over from head to toe. He laughed. Long time no see. Liping has really blossomed. More and more striking. You're about to be married off. This man is the Grand Imperial Consort, the Tegui Khan of Western Rong, and formerly the 6th Prince of Great Lia. Prince King was cared for by him. Since childhood, their relationship is actually closer than with Xi Chaoling. Huizhen knew he was deliberately teasing him. He calmly smoothed. Thanks for helping convince Father Emperor Uncle. Otherwise, this wouldn't have gone so smooth. Xi Chaoyuan looked away first. Dropped a line to Hua. Don't cause trouble for your father. Heavy fang, then he went inside. Xi Haiyang returned to the eastern Since he was dressed as a... He entered through the side door. Back in his chambers, he pulled off the gold hairpin. He hiked up his skirt and sat. Palace attendants brought tea and Xi Huizhen waved them away. Only his personal eunuch remained. He casually twirled the hairpin in his hand, listening to the report about the Xiao prince. They looked respectful, but didn't seem very happy. As for the young lord, no one could tell what he was thinking. But he was respectful when receiving, properly thanking the emperor. Xi Huizhen didn't seem to be listening. He seemed distressed. Suddenly she laughed. The eunuch looked up at him. Your Highness. Xi Huizhen picked up his teacup through the rising steam. His eyes grew more amused. He said that's just how he is. The uptight Xiao Yanning and Huizhen, who has both princess and crown prince identities. The two were betrothed by the late emperor and married. But when Xiao Yanning's mother saw Xiao Hezhen dressed as a princess, she worried for her son. A royal princess with such bearing, her son probably can't handle the auspicious. The wedding preparations proceeded smoothly under the Ministry of Rites. The day after the betrothal, the emperor held a palace banquet for the future consort and the Xiao clan. The guests were all close imperial family members. The Xiao family was led by Prince Xiao Yanji and the heir Xiao Yanning. They led the clan in paying respects to the emperor, consort, and crown prince. Xi Chaoling smiled and excused them. Today's banquet celebrates Princess Li Ping and the young lords Yu Ni. You are all the young lords' elders and relatives. We should all celebrate together. Please rise and be seated. The Xiao clan kowtowed in thanks. Then came the toasting, feasting, and music. During the banquet, Xie Ling discreetly observed Xiao Yanning. This young heir has good bearing and manners. He doesn't seem like some spoiled brat. Otherwise, Xi Huizhen wouldn't insist on marrying him. Just then, the Huizhen leaned over to refill his cup. Father Emperor, the young lord, is skilled in both letters and martial arts. If Father Emperor trusts you need instant peace. This was openly asking for a position for his future husband. Modesty has no rule forbidding consorts from holding office. If Xiao Yanning truly has ability, it would be wasting his talent. Xi Chaoyuan said softly with a smile. I dealt with the Xiao family. Most of the branch families. Only this heir Xiao Yanning is decent. But the late emperor already arranged for him to marry a princess. And it's our lady. What a shame. No wonder the Xiao family isn't thrilled. Xi Chaoling looked thoughtful. The young lord is only 17. Entering court is still premature. We'll see. Xi Huizhen smiled and said no. Xiao Yanning rarely attended such banquets. He couldn't hold his lead. His fair handsome face soon flushed red. When others tried to press more drinks on him, intervened. The young lord will be drunk if he drinks more. Please don't press him, uncles. I'll drink this cup for him. He promptly raised his cup and drained it. Xiao Yanning looked up and met Xi Huizhen's gaze. Xiao Huizhen set down his cup and gave him a warm smile. He had someone bring him fruit tea. Xiao Yanning's heart stirred. The crown prince had a fine reputation, though not His Majesty's. He was talented and virtuous, praised by everyone at court and beyond. Xiao Yanning had often heard his father speak highly of this crown prince, always with great pride. Meeting him today, it was indeed true. Xiao Yanning raised his teacup to thank Xi Huizhen at the head table. Xi Huizhen smiled and Xi Chaoyuan, who saw all this, tossed a peanut in his mouth and said quietly, the Xiao heir probably hasn't seen how devious people can be. He's already been charmed by that brat. Xi Chaoling's lips curled. The crown prince knows his lips. Why should we worry? After 3 rounds of drinks, presented the customary jade belt to the future consort. Xiao Yanning approached the throne. He bowed in thanks. The eunuch was about to take. Shi Huishan suddenly. He descended the steps and walked to Xiao Yanning. He took the imperial gift from the eunuch. Under the gaze of everyone in the hall, the crown prince personally fastened the jade belt around Xiao Yanning's waist. Xiao Yanning's eyes showed brief surprise. He didn't dare move. Everyone present was shrewd. Seeing this, they couldn't help but think the crown prince was eager to win over the Xiao family. Himself before the Xiao heir. But the emperor and consort showed no reaction, so they swallowed their remarks. Xi Huizhen carefully secured the belt for him. Ning Xiao, Yanning thought His Highness fastening the belt himself must be for the princess's sake. But when his hand brushed past his, it tickled. A moment later, Xi Huizhen looked up, still gentle as jade and warm as spring. He smiled. May the young lord and the princess be forever harmonious and respectful. Xiao Yanning came to his senses. He bowed again in thanks to Xi Huizhen. Xi Huizhen held him up with both hands. The banquet continued. Xi Huizhen excused himself to Xi Chaoling, citing discomfort, and left early. Another banquet was underway in the inner palace. For the Xi Shao family women. This one said half an hour late. And Princess Consort shoelated the family's women inside and changed into elaborate palace attire. During the banquet, she studied her future daughter-in-law several. Princess Li Ping was beautiful, just as the rumors said, radiant as peach blossoms. Her every gesture was exceptionally graceful and dignified. She didn't speak, but had a natural air of pride. She sighed inwardly. A royal princess with such bearing. Her son probably can't handle her. Though the crown prince had helped, Xiao Yanning still drank quite a bit. He'd been forcing himself to stay alert in the palace. Now the drunkenness hit him. He held a porcelain bowl, drinking the sobering soup. His youngest leaned against his leg, chattering happily to him. Big brother, I saw Princess Sister. She's so pretty. Xiao Yanning set down the empty bowl. He nodded lightly. The little girl asked curious, don't you like her? Xiao Yanning thought for a moment. He nodded again and answered, I do. His gaze wasn't quite clear, but his expression was as earnest as ever. In Xu's eyes, she could only sigh. I don't know who Ninger takes after her. Xiao Yangji smiled and stroked his beard. Today His Majesty and the Crown Prince both seemed quite pleased with the boy. Ninger has a good The princess should be silent. Lady Xu asked hesitant. You mean the crown? Xiao Xingji's smile remained unchanged. No need to think my Xiao family has been blessed by the emperor for generations. Serving His Majesty can't be wrong. Lady Xu realized she'd been overthinking. She nodded. I understand. After about half a cup of tea, Xiao Yanning returned to his room. Servants brought hot water to help him wash and change. When he took off the jade belt, it slipped through his personal carefully put away for him. Today the Crown Prince personally tied this jade belt for you, sir. He must think highly of you. Xiao Yanning frowned slightly and instructed in a low voice. His Highness only gets a lot of respect for Her Highness the Princess. No need to spread this around. But even if their Xiao Prince Maynard didn't mention him, with so many eyes watching it, the palace favoring him, the future prince consort would likely spread like wildfire soon. Xiao Yanning closed his eyes. Earlier at the palace banquet, when the Crown Prince tied the belt for him, his fingers brushed against his waist, making him extremely uncomfortable. He forced himself not to pull away. Though awkward, probably didn't mean anything by it. Today His Highness helped him avoid drinking. He should find a chance to thank His Highness properly. And he still has to tell about the roads to be gifted to the prince consort. Shi Huishen ordered the best seamstresses to rush the work. Dalian had a tradition of princesses gifting new clothes to their future comes before marriage. Common folk followed this custom when marrying off daughters too. The more a woman admired her future husband, the more effort she put into the clothes, making them by hand. Of course, a princess needn't do it herself. Even just a stitch or two would be a great honor. Kahu had no such skill. He raised his hand, measuring a distance between thumb and forefinger. After pondering it repeatedly, as if carefully sensible, he finally gave a measurement. The attendant didn't understand. The young lord's waist size. Have them make it to this. The clothes should fit well. The attendant took the order and left. Xiao Yanji calmly drank tea waiting for the procession to return. Lady Xu clutched her handkerchief. Ninga has been gone for hours. Why isn't he back yet? Just as she spoke, a servant came to that the young lord had returned. Lady Xu breathed a sigh. As soon as Xiao Yanning entered, Lady Xu anxiously questioned the betrothal gifts delivered. Did the princess like them? Did you see her? What did she say? Did she give you any robes? He replied, the gifts were properly handed to the princess's attendants. She sent word, well, for your son to prepare for the wedding at ease, and later give to me new robe. An attendant behind Xiao Yanning brought the clothes forward. It was a sky blue robe, embroidered with bamboo leaves. Lady Xu touched the and knew it was the finest tribute satin. The embroidery work was top. Half of Lady Xu's worries immediately lifted. Her Highness the Princess is so thoughtful. She clearly likes you very much. Xiao Xingji said happily. After the wedding, you must serve the princess well and not slack off. Xiao Yanning agreed. Your son will devote himself to caring for the princess. Please rest assured, father and mother. Lady Xu took Xiao Yanning with her to Guangwo Temple to offer incense. Shi Yanning was a 10. As he washed and changed, he put on the very robes the princess had given him. Guangwo Temple had the most prosperous incense offerings in the capital. Lady Xu specifically brought her son along to pray for his smooth marriage. Xiao Yanning understood her intention and accompanied her to offer incense, doing so with complete sincerity. Later, Lady Xu said she wanted to go to the back hall to pray to Guanyin for children. His sister has been married to the Ju Being's household for almost 3 years with no news. I'll go pray to Guanyin. You just wait here. No need to come with me. Whatever Lady Xu said, Xiao Yanning obeyed. Then I'll wait for you in the main hall. Walking down the path, a servant praised. Young lord, you look so handsome in these robes. Her Highness the Princess has good taste. At the same time, Xi Huishen's carriage stopped right outside the temple gate. He looked up to see Xiao Yanning stepping out of the temple, followed only by a young servant. Xiao Yanning wore the new robes he'd sent today. They fit him perfectly indeed. The color looked, making him look even more like jade. The young lord came Wukong half an hour ago. The princess consort went to pray to Guanyin for children. The young lord is waiting alone outside the front hall. Xi-Huo was toying with a finger guard. His expression paused slightly. He curved his lips with ambiguity. Princess Khan is so eager. Her daughter-in-law hasn't even married yet, and she can't wait to pray to Guanyin for children. The attendant said awkwardly, after all, the young lord is Prince Xiao's only son. It's understandable the Princess Khan is eager for a grandson. Xi Huishen watched with an appreciative mood for a moment. Go invite him up. Then he watched with interest as this young lord listened to what his messenger said. His expression changing slightly, he regained hope and walked forward. At the carriage he paid his. Xiao Yanning bowed forward. His lowered hands revealed a slender white neck. Xi Hui smiled at him through the carriage curtain. What a coincidence to run into you at the temple. Young lord, you may rise. On their way, the crown prince refused to consummate the marriage as the princess. He deliberately asked if the young lord understood matters between each. The young lord shyly said he did, but had learned how to serve the princess. But the princess didn't want to pursue the husband who thought about serving master. Such a mindset. The young lord and princess sat cross-legged on the wedding bed, silent. Xi Huishen stared at the wedding candles on the table and nearly burned out. Suddenly he laughed, breaking the silence. Does the prince consort plan to just sit here with me all night? He turned to look at Xiao Yanning, seeing him hesitate. Whatever you want to ask, just ask. Xiao Yanning was silent for a moment. The princess looks very much like the crown prince. When he first saw Xi Hui, he felt a sense of familiarity. When Xi Hui said to ask whatever he wanted, he suddenly remembered. Looked almost identical. But the princess, as a woman wearing makeup, appeared much more radiant than the crown prince. Hui's expression remained calm. If you weren't completely oblivious to the outside world, you should have heard that rumor. The crown prince's name is Huizhen. My given name is Huizhen. The crown prince and I are twins. Back then father hid his existence to protect his life. No one knew. Not even the late emperor. Thanks to the current emperor and empress's care, my brother has today. Xiao Yanning was stunned. Sure, this wasn't the real story. Shu's mother only gave birth to him alone. Father protected his life by claiming he was a girl. He was raised as a young lady from childhood. He was adopted by the current emperor's crown prince using his identity as an orphan clan member. His female identity had to be preserved. He was also made a princess. Now that you're my husband, I'm telling you these secrets. I hope you'll keep them for me. Don't tell anyone, including the Xiao family members, even Prince Xiao. Hao Yanning came to his senses, pushing down his shop. Your Highness, rest assured, I will never mention this to anyone. You're an honest man. I know you won't gossip. The candlelight flickered, casting light on Xiao Yanning's handsome face. His cheeks bore a faint blush. He was about to speak to ease the heavy atmosphere, but Xi Hui beat him to it. He looked directly at him, his tone calm. At these words, Xiao Yanning's ears immediately burned hot from the sudden directness. He lowered his eyes, his voice barely a whisper. I haven't experienced it. Since the princess and I were betrothed from childhood, my mother didn't dare send servants to my bed, but I've studied. I know how to serve the princess. Hearing this, he smiled and said, Oh, how did you study? Xiao Yanning didn't dare raise his hand, his voice growing even. Mother had someone send me some illustrated manuals telling me to study them carefully. Hearing this, feeling awkward, unwilling to continue this talk. A moment later, Wu's smile faded, his expression turning serious. But I don't want to consummate with a husband who only thinks about serving his master. You think it over. He stood up, casually removing the ceremonial crown. People to help him wash and change. All the hairpins were removed. His hair was tied in a simple Chen to remind. Xiao Yanning still sitting on the bed. Late, Prince Consort, you should change and rest too. Xiao Yanning's face pale. But Xi Hui stopped him. He replied quietly, I'll rest in the side room for tonight. Xi Hu shrunk slightly, his tone brooking no argument. There are still palace matrons outside. If you leave, won't everyone know? We had a falling out on our wedding night. Stay. Share the bed with me. This should have been a tender wedding night for the young lord and princess. Yet the two just lay quietly on the same bed. Xiao Yanning lay with his back to the princess on the other, as if fearing his displeasure, carefully keeping his distance. His body was almost curled up at the bedchin. Though sharing a bed, each was lost in their own thoughts. Before long, the wine began to take effect on Xiao. He soon fell into a drowsy sleep. Shi Hushen's gaze lingered on him for a moment. Then he gently reached out to wrap the arm around Xiao Yanning's waist, slowly pulling him into his embrace. Xiao Yanning in his sleep was unaware. His brow was smoothed by furious fingers. Before the hour of Chen called people in to attend to them, Xiao Yanning rose even earlier. He stood up, not daring to get up, his gaze not even lingering on Xie's face. Xi Huai saw his slightly awkward expression in the mirror. His lips curved. He casually clipped an earring to his ear. Young lord, no need to be so formal. As husband and wife, we should just be natural. Xiao Yanning recalled last night when Xi Hushen said he didn't want to conceal his cold expression. He knew the princess had been upset with him since that day at Guangwacha. His heart, but he could only agree. As he spoke, he noticed Xi Shen's lips, just painted with red balm. A faint smile played at the corners of his mouth. He seemed to be in quite a good mood. After breakfast, the two set off to return to the palace. Xi Hui brought his prince directly to the emperor's court to pay respects to the emperor and empress. Had few people. Xi Ling and Xi Chuoyuan weren't too strict about formalities. They didn't make the two perform, directly ordering seats. Xi Hui immediately asked, isn't the crown prince here? Xi Chaolan was somewhat He explained the crown prince had caught a cold and wasn't feeling well, so he didn't come. Xi Huai asked shamelessly, how did he catch a cold? Is it serious? Chaolan said it wasn't serious. Shuiwen, drinking tea beside him, couldn't help but laugh softly. That's good then. Xiao Yanning didn't find anything Since the princess and the crown prince were twins, even if she couldn't openly acknowledge his majesty, the empress surely knew. For the princess to want to see her brother when returning to the palace was perfectly natural. Xi Qiling chatted with Xi Hui about this. His gaze fell on Xiao Yanning beside him. Living at the princess manor, is there anything uncomfortable? Xiao Yanning instinctively started to stand to react, but Xi Qiling waved to stop. There are no outsiders here. Sit. Only then did Xiao Yanning carefully sit down. Unlike his Xi Hui, who sat back casually, he only perched lightly on half the chair. But Xi Qiling only chatted casually with him, asking about trivial matters. Xiao Yanning answered each one, after speaking for a while. Now that you've started a family, you should establish a career soon. I've heard you're well and skilled in martial arts too. Have you thought about seeking an official position? Shi Qiling was quite satisfied with this young lord Xiao. Zui Hu was so playful. He wanted to make it up to him somehow. Shi Huizhen already asked on behalf of the young master for his future prospect. The wedding's done, this matter should be settled soon. Xiao Yanning stood up again. He declined Xi Qiang's kind offer. If I only receive your majesty's favor because of Prince, I'll probably have trouble gaining respect at court. His father now held an important position with the emperor's trust. He had married a princess. They were asking for trouble. Xiao Yanji originally planned to get him a minor position after he came of age. He understood his father's offer for the imperial favor he didn't dare accept. Ziqian Qiling said helplessly, you don't need to be so modest. Xiao Yan leaned close and whispered something to him. After thinking it over, Chang changed his mind. Very well, I'll think about it some more. And the emperor gave the crown prince well. If he couldn't truly win over young Master Xiao's acceptance, he would let delay. Picking up where we left off. After Xi Huizhen and Xiao Yanning had lunch at the palace, Xi Qiaoling summoned Xi Huizhen. I'm giving you 10 days of marriage leave. We'll tell everyone you're still recovering from the cold. Xi Huizhen smiled and thanked him for the emperor's tone. Since he couldn't stay outside the palace every night, Xi Huizhen was prepared. That's easy. The young master is still young. Having him join the court, he and the Xiao family would both. Why not have him serve in the Eastern Palace Guard as a military officer? He'll only get 1 day off, and I'll only go back with him on that 1 day. Xi Qiaoling wasn't surprised Xi Huizhen would say this. Just now Xi Qiaoling had mentioned it to him. The kid must have run it by Xi Chuoyuan first. His side, his tone carried a warning. I indulge you because I know you have sense. But you need to understand this is no game. So don't go too far. Xi Zhen was about to speak. Xi Qiaoling waved him off, giving you. From then on, you go your way and he goes his. I don't want to break the heart of a loyal servant's family. Xi Huizhen lowered his head, hiding his emotions. Your son understands. You're still married now. From now on, you need to stand on your own. You can't act recklessly anymore. This kind of outrageous behavior just this Never once. Again. He said nothing more. Then the family banquet began. The four sat around one table. This was Xiao Yanning's first time dining with the emperor. His manners and upbringing were flawed. His attitude was completely respectful. Shi Chaoyuan poured wine for Xiao Yanning. Yan was about to stand to thank him, but Xi Qiaoyuan gently pressed his shoulder, signaling he didn't need to stand. The young master is only 17. Why so serious? No need for all this for now. I'm pouring you wine. Just sit and relax. Xiao Yanning stopped insisting. He thanked Xi Qiaoyuan verbally. Xi Qiaoyuan turned to Xi Huizhen. His smile carried a hint of teasing. Li Ping, your husband is very proud. Don't bully him too much. Xi Huizhen knew he was teasing, but kept his composure. I'm just a delicate woman. How could I? Delicate woman. Qiaoyuan repeated. He couldn't help chuckling. The Fujin, you're still his husband. Setting him straight now, and that isn't wrong. Everything comes down to right and wrong. His Majesty and I won't always take Li Ping's side. Xiao Yanning looked respectful, but didn't dare respond. If the princess is at fault, it's my fault first. I wouldn't dare argue with her highness. The flash of surprise crossed Xi Qiaoyuan's eye. If anyone else said this, he'd think they were deliberately flattering. But this young master's expression was sincere. His words were earnest, clearly genuine. He couldn't help thinking to himself, that warrior Xiao Yanji actually raised such a well-tempered young master. Quite remarkable. Seeing this, Xi Qiaoling slowly spoke. Since you're married now, you should support and care for each other. There's no reason for one side to always give in. I hope you two can share joys and hardships and move forward together. Xi Huizhen and Xiao Yanning replied in unison. Thank you for your guidance. They then raised their cups to Toshi Chaling and Xi Chai. The atmosphere was warm and harmonious. Later, the two bid farewell to the emperor and empress and headed to Prince Xiao's manor. The Xiao family had been waiting for a long time. Lady Xu sent servants out to look several times. Only now did she finally see her son and the princess, her daughter-in-law. Xiao Yanning rode his horse to the street corner. Behind him was Princess Li Ping's carriage. After the carriage stopped, Xiao Yanning dismounted, just as he did at the palace gates earlier. The Xiao family came forward to bow. Xi Huizhen stopped them with a smile. No need for formalities, Your Highness. Lady Xiao, please rise. The Xiao family held a princely title. By protocol, they should bow to Xi Huizhen, and Shida as an imperial prince. This was the distinction of Jinmenho after entering. But Xi and Xi Hui served tea standing to Xiao Yanji and Lady Xu. She received the gifts they prepared for the new bride. The promise willingly became a princess for life. He married the young master as a princess. He longed to win his true heart, yet feared he would fall for his female disguise. Xi Huizhen and Xiao Yanning returned to Prince Xiao's manor. Huizhen respectfully served tea to Xiao Yangji and Lady Xu. Then she received the gifts they prepared for the new bride. He distributed rewards to Xiao Yanning's younger sister and the other junior members of the Xiao family. For a while, the main courtyard of the Xiao manor was filled with laughter. Lady Xu watched Xi Huizhen's every move. Her original doubts gradually faded. She'd worried a princess of such high status would naturally be spoiled. It might be hard for her to get along with Xiao Yanning. The sergeant before her was not only well-mannered but considerate Xiao Yanning in every. She even took the initiative to get close to the younger Shiza. Lady Xu's worries fun. She secretly hoped she might soon hold a grandchild. The two set out to return to the princess's manor and Prince Xiao's manor were quite far. Halfway there, a sudden rain hit. Rain pounded on the carriage. The view outside instantly blurred. Xi Huizhen pushed open the window. He saw Xiao Yanning still riding, sitting upright. Helpless, he ordered someone to call him into the carriage. Moments later, Xiao Yanning stepped into the carriage, bringing dampness. Xi Huizhen pointed to the seat beside him. Sit down. He thanked the princess and sat as told. His outer robe was soaked. A few strands of wet hair stuck to his cheek. He looked a bit disheveled. Xi Huizhen frowned and reminded him, take off your outer robe. He hesitated, then raised his hand to undo. His movements were somewhat. Xi Huizhen took a cloth and gently wiped the water from his face. Xiao Yanning, an odd feeling stirred in his heart. He never imagined the princess would care him so attentively. Xi Huizhen noticed his ears tossed the cloth onto his face. His tone was slightly annoyed. Am I going to eat you? Next time, don't act tough. Xiao Yanning took. His expression held both constraint and hot. Xi Huizhen glanced at her. You're so rigid and stubborn. A 17-year-old body with the temperament of a 70-year-old. He thought to himself, and yet I fell for him. Xiao Yanning didn't know how to respond. He could only remain silent. Xiao Yanning's marriage leave was only 3 short days. After that, he returned to the Imperial Academy for his daily study. He left in a hurry each morning, not returning until sun. Shu Huizhen's attitude toward him remained cold and distant. But Xiao Yanning knew he was at fault and didn't dare complain. Lady Xu sent someone privately to ask how he was doing. He always glossed over the detail. He only praised Xi Huizhen's many virtues. He never mentioned the distance between them. He was afraid his elders would worry. But the trouble in his heart never left. He couldn't shake it. Afternoon sunlight filtered through the curtains into the room. Xi Huizhen lounged on the couch with a book in hand. His expression was indifferent. Just then a servant walked in quiet. He reported in a low voice that Lady Xu had sent someone with fresh vegetables along with a basket of plum crabs and several aged wine. And a basket of plum crabs and several jars of fine aged wine. Xi Huizhen didn't even lift an eyelid. He just gave a faint hum. He ordered accept them. Thank Lady Xiao for me, and give the delivery people some reward money. The servant bowed and left. Xi Huizhen casually set the book aside. Gaze turned toward the window. After thinking for a moment, he turned and asked the attendant what time it was. The attendant replied respectfully, it's the 4th quarter of the hour to go. Huizhen nodded slightly and stood up, but carried an undeniable authority. Prepare the carriage. I'm going to pick up my husband. He preferred Xiao Yanning to respect him, even fear him a little, rather than see him develop true feelings for himself. In Xi Huizhen's heart, if Xiao Yanning truly fell for him as Princess Li Ping in women's clothing, that would be the outcome he least wanted to face. Picking up where we left off. The Imperial Academy wasn't far from the princess's manor. Xi Huizhen changed into simple clothes. He waited quietly on the street corner. Before long, Xiao Yanning walked out of the Imperial Academy gates with a few classmates. Xi Huizhen's attendant went forward to deliver the message. Hearing the princess had come in person, Xiao Yanning was slightly surprised. His gaze naturally turned across the street. Sure enough, he saw that familiar carriage. His friend beside him nodded. He teased with a laugh. New ads for sure. Her Highness came to pick up Brother Xiao himself. Brother Xiao. Xiao Yanning nodded. Slightly. He crossed the street, walked to the carriage. Xi Haizheng smiled faintly. He was just passing by. Then he invited him to get in the carriage. Xiao Yanning got in. He saw Xi Huizheng reclining inside holding a patient. You studied all day. Hungry, right? Eat something. Xiao Yanning glanced at the delicate refreshments on the table. After thanking her, he slowly picked up a piece. He put it in his mouth and chewed slowly. His mind couldn't help wondering. Someone so gentle and refined, what would he look like if pushed too far? Lost in thought, Xiao Yanning had already picked up the tea. He filled his cup with tea. He gestured, noting the princess had been eating pastry. Had some hot. Xi Huizheng smiled slightly. No rush. He picked up the teacup and took a light sip. His mood lifted. A servant came to ask if they should steam some crabs for dinner. Lady Xiao thinks of you constantly. Every couple days she sends someone with things like you're not eating well or staying warm here at the princess's manor. He was just teasing casually, but Xiao Yanning quickly bowed and apologized. She's just used to handling these little things for me. Xi Huizheng frowned and cut him off. Enough, of course I know Lady Xiao didn't mean that. I was just joking. Why are you always so cautious? Xiao Yanning lowered his head and apologized again. Please don't be angry, princess. Qi Huizheng sighed. How am I supposed to get close to you when you're like this? Before Xiao Yanning could speak, he added, Did you marry me just to put me on an altar and worship me? Whatever. Xiao Yanning respected and feared him as Princess Lippy. Better than falling for him for real. Xiao Yanning wanted to explain, but Xi Huizheng didn't give him a chance. Go change your clothes. As soon as he finished speaking, a report came from outside. The Ministry of War sent someone with an appointment document, asking the Prince Consort to come receive the decree. For a moment, but Xi Huizheng understood perfectly, so he went with him. He quickly bowed. His face wore a flattering smile. He presented the appointment document with both hands. Well, Prince Consort, congratulations. This is a decree personally issued by His Majesty. You're appointed Deputy Commander of the Eastern Palace. You can take up your post tomorrow. Xiao Yanning's heart jumped. He accepted the document and thanked him politely.